Hey guys, welcome to Video Game Corner. It's me, Jason, and today we're going to be doing the Walking Dead recap. Sorry it's a few days late. Been in the middle of a bunch of stuff, been cleaning up the house, been kind of tired. I promised my girlfriend I'd clean the house from top to bottom before Dark Souls 2 comes out because I'm going to spend about 4 days playing it. I don't want to be bothered, and I don't want her to get mad at me for just playing video games all the time, so made a deal with her, and she's happy with that. So, anyway, moving on. So, Walking Dead, the latest episode was about Abraham. Now, my favorite character, Abraham's back. You know, he's finally in the show, and like I've said before, I'm really hoping he doesn't die the way he dies in the comics, because in the comics it's so anticlimactic. He's talking to Rick about something, gets shot in the head, and that's it. And it's like, wow, his life is just snuffed out, and he had all these things he had to deal with. Doesn't matter now, and it's like, whoa, it was just fucked. And it sucks because he was my favorite character in the series, and so far I like the actor they got to play him. He's pretty cool. He seems to play the role really. He seems a little bit smaller than the comic book version, but you know, comics are always, even though Walking Dead's a realistic style art style, you know, to find a big guy like Abraham is probably not ideal for the for the show. I mean, so this episode focuses on Michonne some more, and Carl. And a little bit of, you know, Rick is healing, and then you got Glenn and what's-her-face from the governor's team, and Abraham and his group, Rosita, and I forget the other guy's name, the scientist guy, who turns out to really be a math teacher in the comics. So I don't know if it's going to be different in the show. But, we got... And remember, guys, this is not spoiler-free, so if you haven't seen it yet, watch the show and then watch this. So, anyway, just so you know. So, you got Rick, Michonne, and Carl are staying in this house while Rick recuperates. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Michonne is still dealing with her past, still thinking about stuff, but Rick mentions to her, he says, so are you going to be taking another break or what? And she says, no more breaks for me. I'm in all the way. And he says, great. Because he explains, you know, he says, he's talking about, Michonne got Carl to laugh. Carl's all upset because they think Judith is dead, and he's the one that named her, and all this kind of thing. So he's been all upset, but she got him to laugh about something because he was telling a story about when he was in school to Michonne, and he got a real laughing, and then he was thinking about, you know, Judith, and he said Judith would something about Judith, and then he got all upset. And then so Michonne comes in, she's talking to Rick. Rick says, I can't be his friend and his father. I need you to be his friend. And Michonne, that's when Michonne's like, I'm in all the way, and when he asks her, so they need supplies. So they say, are we going to, you know, what are we going to do? Are we going to make this home, or are we moving on? And Rick says, well, we need to stay here while we figure out our next move. And she says, okay, we need more supplies. Rick says, okay, I'll go out. And she says, no, you're staying here. Carl and I'll go, because just yesterday, yesterday you were unconscious, and you were conscious for a couple days before that. You're not going anywhere. You need to stay and rest, because if something happens, it's going to be a problem. So he realizes, he breaks down and says, okay, because Rick always has to be the hero and always has to be the leader. And it's just who he is. Even when he's not the leader, he's the leader. So, so they leave. Rick decides to hang out in the house and relax a bit, and they go out, and you go to Michonne and Carl go into this house, and Carl wants to know, because Michonne mentions to Carl that she had a 3-year-old son. and she's kind of opening up to Carl because she can kind of relate because of him losing his sister, so he thinks, because we all know eventually that they're going to find Judith again, and they even hinted at the end of this episode, and it's going to be really cool. I mean, he's going to be happy again, and blah, blah, blah. So, Michonne says, well, Carl says, starts asking questions, and she says, I'm not going to answer any questions until we're going to go into this house here, and if you find something, a supply we can use in each room, I'll answer one question. So Carl's all like, he wants to know, so he starts going in and finds stuff, answering, finds out the little boy's name, finds out, you know, a little bit here and there, and then he goes into a hallway where Michonne sees all these paintings, and she was really appreciating the art. Carl says, does this count as a room? She says, if you can find something in here we can use. So he hands her this painting that's been wrapped up, and he's like, what about this? And she's like, all right. So she answers a question, and then Carl goes into the other room. She goes to open the painting because she wants to put it back up on the wall and just leave it there. She opens up the painting, and it's been mutilated with like red paint and blood or something. I think it may be blood. It looks really screwed up. And she's like, whoa, what's going on here? So she goes into another room, and she has her sword ready. And she's getting ready, she's kind of looking, she feels like something's wrong. And then she goes into this room, this back, like this kid's room in the back, and it's all in pink. And the image there is just horrible. You have the little kids lying there dead, you know, and they're withered away. It's like the other kids or another part of the family's lying there dead, and then you have either the mother or the father sitting in a chair, and they have their head blown out because they killed themselves, but the whole family's dead. And it looks more like a suicide, murder type thing where everybody committed suicide and then the last person killed themselves. Or the parent killed the kids so they didn't have to deal with this. It's just this horrible scene. And you know, you see that in shows where the parents kill the kids so they don't have to go through this, and then they kill themselves. And it's like, whoa! And you think about it, and you're like, well, how would you react? And I wouldn't react that way because I'm a fighter. I would never react that way. My whole disability be damned if we got a zombie apocalypse. I'm gonna tough through it because it's just, that's the way it's gonna be, and I'm gonna protect my family. I have 2 kids, and yeah, there's no way I'm letting them get killed. But I've actually got an idea. I'm gonna be doing a video here pretty soon where I always look at these shows and I think about like the weapons and things they use. They always go to the gun, and I start thinking about, and there's other things they do that I wouldn't necessarily do. And I was thinking, I'm going to do a video and say things that you never see or see enough of in zombie films and zombie TV show, you know, like this, or zombie related stuff, zombie media, that you should do, that I think you should do. And I'm going to do a whole video on it. I think it'd be kind of fun. But, so then we keep going, you know, we deal with that, and then Carl comes in, and she shuts the door and comes out, and she says, oh, is it a dead baby? Because he's thinking of Judith, and he sees the look on her face, and he knows that she's trying to kind of shield, and she says, no, it's not a dead baby, it's a dead dog. And he's like, oh, okay, so he stays out of there, and I think he kind of knew that there was more than a dead dog. There was no dead dog, but I think he kind of knew, but he was like, I'm not going in there. So, Carl makes this little, he says to Michonne, he says, I'm pretty sure Judith and your son are hanging out in heaven, basically, in the afterlife. And made Michonne kind of smile. And so it goes back, and you also go, and Rick, see, I don't know, I can't remember how they broke up the episode, but I'm just going to talk through this part, and then I'll talk about the Glenn and Abraham part. So you have Rick, who's back at the house, and he's sleeping, and all of a sudden he hears a noise and people talking, Someone's come into that house. Of course, they got to come into that one house. Oh, and here's another thing that I found out recently. If you ever watch Walking Dead, all the yards are all really well kept. Because I guess what they do is they rent out a whole neighborhood. And they convert it into a post-apocalyptic neighborhood. But I guess they have this issue. They always have this issue with their yards, letting their yards go. So you just have to kind of suspend disbelief, which is that was kind of a funny little trivia I was reading up on the internet about. So, but anyway, he's in the house. He was reading a book and he fell asleep, and then of course these guys come in, and he's like, "Holy shit, crapperoni!" He gets under the bed, realizes he left his water up there, grabs his water. This dude comes in, plops down on the bed while he's underneath it, and he's stuck. Because if he moves, it's going to wake this dude up. And he also hears someone getting killed downstairs, too. So he's like, screw that. So this dude's sleeping. Then this other, a little bit later, this other guy comes in and says, "Give me the bed." And the dude's like, "No, I'm not giving you the bed." So they start fighting to the death. And he puts this one dude on the ground, and the dude's like, face staring at Rick, and he's like, "Stop, stop." And the guy's like, "No, I'm not going to stop." And he ends up either knocking him out completely or killing him. I think he killed him because he can get up after that, but it seemed like he was kind of like passed out. But I'm pretty sure he killed him. And then the dude just lays on the bed and goes to sleep with a dead body in there. And that's the place these guys are in now. It's just the way the world's become. Is that sleeping next to a dead body is no biggie. It's that guy you just killed. I mean, everybody's just become monsters. So, I cracked my knuckles. That's better. So anyway, so the guy wakes up, somebody comes in, the guy gets up, because they say talk about someone coming or some woman or I don't know. I don't know what the hell they were talking about. Rick slides out, goes in the bathroom, turns around, there's some dude sitting on the toilet. Rick kills him quietly, which I'm thinking to myself, these dudes are freaking out, and like they're like, "Where's our buddy that's on the crapper?" And it's like, oh man, it's like, all right. So Rick can't open the window, can't get out. He's finally able to get out. He room hops a little bit. Finally gets on a window, gets on the roof, drops down. Then he's getting ready to run away, and some guy comes out the front. So he's hiding by the stairs, by the porch. And he's like, and finally he's got a gun, because he found a gun that one of these guys had. I think it was the toilet guy that he killed. I think he took his gun. So he's sitting there and he's waiting for this guy to go in. So he's getting ready. He sees Michonne and Carl coming from a distance. He's like, uh-oh. So he's getting ready to kill this dude on the porch and then take off. So he's getting ready to, before this guy sees him. Then the guy gets called, "Hey, come here." So the guy goes inside and Rick's like, "Woo!" Rick takes off. Grabs Michonne and Carl, says, "Get out of here, there's guys." And they all take off running and they make it. Woo! So, we go to the Glenn part of the storyline. Glenn wants to find Maggie. I mean, it's just that simple. And Abraham's like, Glenn, because he passes out, so he's in the back of this big truck that they have. And Glenn is, and then when I forgot, back up to Rick, they all run and they see that thing at the train that's saying that, "Go here for safety, we take everybody." That's where the Tyrese and Judith and Carol went, and the kids and the little girls. So I'm figuring next episode they're going to run in together unless they, of course I saw that next week's they're going to be going back to the Daryl and What's-Her-Face story, and then something else. But anyway, so Glenn, he wants to go. He wakes up and he's like, "Stop the truck," and they're like, "No, no, no," and he's like, "Stop the truck, stop the truck," and they're like, "No, we're not stopping the truck." Abraham's a stubborn bastard. That's how Abraham is. He won't stop the truck. Glenn starts kicking it and punching it. Glenn's freaking out. So finally they stop the truck and Glenn's like, "I'm leaving." And Abraham's like, no, wait, let me talk to you, buddy. You gotta do this. We're gonna save the world, because the one guy's pretending to be a scientist. I forget his name. I need to remember his name. I remember Rosita, the little Hispanic girl, and because she wears those skimpy little shorts and stuff. She doesn't look anything like a warrior of the post-apocalyptic era. She looks like a freaking hoochie. But that's okay with me. But anyway, so Abraham's like trying to say, no, you know, it's more important. Your wife would understand or something. Your wife. And he says something bad, set Glenn off. Glenn turns around, knocks him out, knocks him to the ground. And then he's like, I'm out of here. Glenn turns around, Abraham's pissed. He doesn't take that shit at all. He gets up, he attacks Glenn. They're fist fighting and going at it. And it was pretty good. And Glenn really held his own. And of course, zombies or walkers are coming out of the woodwork, and the scientist guy, he's like, guys, and of course the girls are like, stop fighting, what's wrong with you guys? And he's like, guys, and he doesn't know shit about guns or fighting, but he grabs a machine gun, he's like fiddling with it, and he's all, and he shoots it, and he's shooting all over the place, and he finally starts hitting the walkers, and it's hitting their chest, and then it wakes, you know, Abraham and Glenn. They're like, oh crap, they run over there, they kill them all. He's like, give me that gun. And then he looks down, and they kill them all. They kill all the walkers, and then he realizes that this moron shoots the gas tank, and it's leaking all out. There's no gas in this truck anymore, and they can't fix it. They don't have any JB Welds, so they can't fix it. And he's like, you couldn't hit any of those walkers, but you were able to kill our truck. He's like, so that was pretty funny. So Glenn's like, I'm sorry about your truck, but I'm out of here, after they were fist fighting. So Glenn grabs his gear and he's going to find Maggie. And then what's her face, the girl from the governor's team, I gotta figure out her name. Anyway, next week I'm gonna find out names. And so she's like, goes, and then Rosita's like, well, I'm gonna follow them. They seem to know where they're going. And then Abraham's like, and then the other guy, scientist guy's like, yeah, let's go that way. And Abraham's like, fine. So they finally go off, and yeah. So anyway, it wasn't a very deep. It was had a little bit of depth to it as far as Michonne and Carl, but the rest of the episode is just fun. You know, it had some funny stuff and some tense moments, but it was a really good episode, and I'm really interested to see, because I know where they're going, and I can't remember the name of the town, but I'm going to look it up, and I'm pretty sure it's the town that around issue 70 that they go to, give or take a few issues. I can't remember exactly. It's around issue 70 in the series, and they go to this town that's not like the Governor, like Woodbury, where they're doing, you know, gladiator fights. It's like a regular community, and it's like a track house development, and it's run by this old guy who's real gentle, but he's got secrets. He's got skeletons in his closet, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where they're going, unless they surprise me, but we'll see. I think it's going to be coming up next episode or the episode after that, and we're going to see what's going on. But yeah. So, and then the next big villain comes out around issue 100. That's when Abraham gets killed and Glenn gets his head bashed in with a baseball bat and mutilated right in front of Maggie. That was horrible in issue 100. I mean, his head was like mush. Like they took a bat and just kept hitting him until it was just mush. His eyes popped out, his brains were all over. It was horrible. Horrible way to die. And so, but yeah, I hope they don't kill him. I like Glenn. Glenn's a pretty good character. But oh, Walking Dead Season 2, the Telltale Games, has got a sale on the PlayStation Plus. And it's like $9 for the season pass, so I'm going to pick that up and start playing that. You know, I'm getting ready to buy a capture device so I can record off my PS3 better, because it has the HDMI, and I think I'm gonna start doing like things, certain Let's Plays. I'm not gonna do just anything. Because I want to do the Dark Souls 2, and I'll probably do a Dark Souls playthrough with just like certain. Because I don't want to do just a regular playthrough either. I want to do like a cool playthrough where I have certain rules I have to follow to see how well I can do. And because I always like, whenever I play Dark Souls or any of these games, like things like Dark Souls, I always think about a story behind the character I'm playing. And and things like, even things like, I played a little bit of Skyrim, and I played a little bit of Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, and I try to think of the story behind these characters. Of course, those games get a little boring and repetitive, Dragon's Dogma and Skyrim, but I kind of like them. I get in the mood to just play that style every once in a while, but yeah, we'll see. I've been building up a really cool character in Dragon's Dogma, but I want to play a little more Skyrim. I've got a house in there, and I don't know, it just starts to become a little repetitive, but I want to really start refining my character there, because now playing Dark Souls and Demon Souls taught me how to refine a character, to just put my stat points into whatever kind of character I'm building, instead of, I used to just put a little bit into everything. Because when you play JRPGs, that's what happens when you level up. Everything goes up. But when you build a character, you need to put your points in. You need to concentrate your points into certain things. So that's what I'm going to start doing. I might even start Skyrim from over, because I played it for about 3 days, and I think I want to just start over with a fresh character and do something new, and just like focused on the character and build it that way. So that's what I think I'm going to do. But anyway, guys, that's it for today. Oh, and I always play Skyrim in third person, because you guys know I hate first. But anyway, that's it for today. I don't want to go off topic too much. Anyway, let's hope next week's episode is good. The show's been getting better and better every episode. I think some people didn't like the first episode, because a lot of people don't like to get deep with things. They like to just be entertained, and that's fine. But me, I love getting to the depth and the meat of the characters. I think that's so cool. Anyway, but that's it for today. Hopefully I can get another video out by before Monday or Sunday or Monday. And anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.